and welcome back to the Dukebox. Your hosts for today are two year nines, Noah and Kunal.
One thing that you'll find a lot more of during quarantine is time.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, especially if you're in junior school and not worried about VCE, I'm sure you have hours to spare. So we're going to dedicate this episode into helping you fill that time with all the small fun things in life.
So, let's get started with something we all love to do in our spare time movies. The hardest thing in life is deciding which movie to watch, so we'll do that for you. Now, what movie would you recommend, Kunal?
Well, I saw Parasite about a month ago, and it is hands down the best movie I've ever seen. I'm sure quite a few people would have watched it, seeing that it won 5 Oscars in all. But all I can say is that those were some well-deserved Oscars. Another thing about this movie is that it made me anxious and my stomach was in knots the whole time.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, for sure. And it wasn't because it was particularly scary, but just because of how thought-provoking it was. The next few days after watching it, it was all my mind would ever consume. I went into this movie having no expectations, but it still blew me away at the end. If you're feeling stressed and want to focus your mind on something different for a change, this is the perfect movie. And Noah, what about you?
Well, I'm glad you asked, and damn have I gotta give that a watch. Well, I recently viewed Zootopia. Now, before you go bullying me for watching a kids' movie, I gotta say that Zootopia is quite sophisticated and action-packed considering its intended targeted audience. It displays interesting political similarities with our boundaries in society, references to stereotypical forms of individuals and their characteristics, the bridge between racism and discrimination. There's even references to the mafia, drugs, and other bizarre constructs in a functioning society. And there's a bond between two polar opposites.
The funny thing is, you're right. From the reviews I've read, this movie goes far deeper than you'd think.
Oh yeah, this movie goes deeper than a well. It's so fascinating to see how a kids movie can so clearly relate to an older group of individuals, including us, better than some adult films. So, if you haven't already, go give Zootopia a shot, or give it another if you want to explore the messages it presents.
Damn, thanks for that, Noah. Alrighty. Contrary to the reviews we just gave, one thing we should be looking after is our screen time, especially since we're at home all the time. While it's still important to relax and watch a movie or two, we still have to physically and mentally take care of ourselves. And that doesn't always mean running 5 kilometers or doing 40 push ups, but finding a hobby that can put your mind away from school and technology that has helped me greatly during this time. So tell me, Noah, what have you been up to?
Now, it's still good to get that physical exercise in. You know, walking from my bedroom to the bathroom is no easy feat.
Yeah, I hope you're not getting too tired from that. Have you actually gotten out of the house?
Well, yes, I've been going for runs and been taking my dog for walks as he has been gaining a few pounds.
I knew you had it in you. Going running may sound like torture for some, but it's really not. From my personal experience, the first time is always the worst. You just have to push yourself one time and it'll become so much easier the following runs. Trust me, the first 2 weeks of quarantine, I did absolutely nothing, but after one time of pushing myself, I was able to run so much further than I thought. And if you're ever confused on how to track your progress with running, I'd advise you to use Strava because it's free, it's accurate, and it's user friendly.
Hashtag not sponsored. But if you really don't want to go outside, just turn on the radio and have a little dance break. You know, do the Gangnam style, whip the neigh neigh, take your horse to the old town road. We don't mind. Just get up and get moving.
Not sure that I'll be doing that, but I don't doubt that it'll give us the exercise we so desperately need. Well, there are many other ways to entertain yourself without looking like a fool. So, back to hobbies. What have you been up to?
Yes, well, I have been dazzling myself in the arts and crafts. recently I attempted to delve into the world of origami with a nice paper box. And let's just say there can be room for improvement. I've also been experimenting with some drawing tools that try and spice up my artistic abilities. From shading to 3D shapes, I've been doing it all. And you could also say that photography and filming is an aspect of the arts. With my media projects, I've really been able to stretch my knowledge in the making of a compelling and interesting piece. And you?
Damn, that sounds really interesting. I'll give that a try myself. One thing that I have surprisingly found myself doing at this time is cooking. Over the last few weeks, I've developed a surprising joy to either making different meals with my brother or just helping my mum out in the kitchen. I've probably learned more things in the past month than the last 16 years of my life. Not that I'm stressed with my schoolwork, but this helps me greatly by giving me an enjoyable break and something fun to do. I reckon that by the end of quarantine, every guy at MHS, now that they have the opportunity, should try to perfect just one meal. That's enough rambling from me. Noah, what do you think?
Yes, well, I myself made some pancakes, and goodness, with some maple syrup and bananas, were they good? You got any other good meal ideas?
Well, my favorite meal of all time is a fat omelet. I've experimented over the last few weeks, and I have reason to believe that I have the recipe for the best omelet ever created.
Well, be sure to slip the recipe over to me after we're done with this.
Sure thing. Now, there's something else that I've been finding time for in the last month, something that I've probably neglected in the past couple of years: books.
Books! I almost forgot that word. Well, maybe not. I do love a good book and its miraculous way of enticing someone, despite being nothing but words on a page.
Yeah, definitely. So, recently I stumbled upon an American author, Clive Cussler. Unfortunately, he passed away a few months ago, so may we let him rest in peace. On a brighter note, his books are some of the best and most underrated in the world. Some of them even turned into international movies. The genre is action and adventure, and even though I'm not usually into that, these books are like no other. The plots are so well thought out, and Cussler has a talent of suspending the tension to the very last chapter, never allowing you to put the book down. I've read four of his novels in the last 2 months, and they still never cease to amaze me. Personally, I would recommend the Numa Files as they're his most popular and recent series. Unfortunately, libraries have closed down, but you'll be able to find these books on the internet without a problem. I'm sure Noah has been up to some reading himself.
Now, although I would love to talk about Diary of a Wimpy Kid,
Yes, those books can never be topped. They were my childhood. It's been way too long since I read them. Speaking of that, this current situation is perfect for us to remember our childhoods.
yes, I do love a good trip down memory lane.
Yeah, so I looked at some photo albums a few days ago and I relived memories that I thought I never had.
Yes, well, how lovely to hear, but it's true. This period is a better time than any to spend some quality time with your family. Maybe partake in an intense game of Monopoly or watch a good movie, particularly the recommendations we gave, or just have a nice conversation about the vast expanse of the universe, or whether cats or dogs are better.
I completely agree. We should savor these moments while we have them. Before we know, we'll have already moved out and forgotten about these times. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Surely you can do better than that. I'm sure you've been reading some deeper books too.
Well, one book series I've grown attached to is called The Seven Signs. Written by Michael Adams, this series explores seven teenagers who are made winners of a dare competition, providing them access to an array of the world's new forms of technology. However, in the months that follow, they are thrown into a series of dangerous events that put the whole world at stake. Attacks on world wonders, mysterious deaths, a desperate fight for survival. I could not tell you how many times I was on the edge of my seat when I read this series.
Damn, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. So be sure to continue listening into these podcasts. every Monday. And don't mind that this was made on a Thursday.
Be sure to keep in touch with all your friends, and this will be over before you know it.
Yeah, so thanks all for tuning in. It was great having you, and we hope that you try out a couple of the things that we recommended. So this is the Jukebox, signing off.